Hello once again and welcome to Agribusiness Management Tips, our daily guide to practical ways of protecting and ensuring that our agribusiness investments yield benefits. The whole essence of every farming operation is the fruits, the results that we get after toiling, after waiting, after pressing through the difficult challenges of staying in the business. Then we get this satisfaction when we see the fruits of our labor. Today we are starting a new series where we are going to be talking about farm planning. It is often said it's wise and expected that nobody should embark on a venture without counting the cost. But we have discovered from experience that this oftentimes is not the case with a lot of people that are involved in the agribusiness operations. We've discovered a lot of people start up with a process, halfway they run out of resources, come across new challenges that they don't have the capacity to surmount. We have gone into various plantations that have been abandoned for years just because the investors didn't have a comprehensive grip of all that the business itself entails. So that's why we feel it's very vital and necessary for us to visit this topic planning, especially for those of us in sub-Saharan Africa. You know, this is the time you begin to prepare for your arable farming operations. So we'll expect you to stay with us for the next few days. Just take time out to listen to this podcast. There are some few things we'll be talking about that we believe will help your operations to produce your desired fruit. I'm starting up today by looking at two key concepts that most times we mix up together. That is, what is the plan and what is the concept of planning. So I'll start by talking about a planning process and a plan. Now, is the best way I think we can put it across is planning comes before the plan. Planning is an operation, or is the process of weighing all the options that are involved in achieving the set goal. This is the time you get engaged in active discussion. Is the time you look at the outcomes and the ways of achieving these outcomes. Is the time you weigh the pathways of following to these actions vis-a-vis the goals, the objective of the business, and what it takes to achieve it. It is the time you discuss and carry out findings on the challenges of the pathway that you are choosing. For example, you have a goal to make 1 million naira in crop farming. This is the time you ask yourself questions like, what crop should be able to achieve this for me? If I have an option of maize, I have an option of watermelon, I have an option of cucumber, what resources are available? Do I have the resources that can achieve this? Okay, if I don't have the resources, what are my options? Do I have to embark in a partnership with somebody who has such resources, or do I have to personally go into the business myself in terms of direct cultivation? Okay, if I have to go into the business via direct cultivation, do I have the required skill? Do I have the required manpower? Do I have the required resources? At the time that you are twisting and turning these ideas using verifiable facts as guide, this is the process that is called planning. The how is called planning. Then when you are through with the how, the which, and you are now having a clear-cut direction of what you want to do, that takes you to the next step. The next step is what we call a plan. A plan is the documentation of the whole planning operations. It's the time for you to document, to put on paper or to put on a voice call, is to a voice direction, is to document it so you know there is something you can call back on. Because during the course of your preparing, we expect that an effective planning process would have taken into consideration everything that needs to be considered in the operation of the business. That's why we say at the point of planning, you start from the beginning, but you get to the end even before the actual beginning starts. So if you already have the documentation put in place, that means you now have a working plan. There is always need for us to understand that planning, though is a startup process, is a continuous process, because as you start operating the farming operation itself, you are going to discover that new challenges are going to come up, new observations are going to arise. Some things you didn't take into consideration before, they will arise, and you start thinking about it again. You start seeking counsel. You start asking for direction. You start gathering facts once again. How do I bypass this? Imagine if you were involved in a poultry business in January last year and the business was going so well, and by March the pandemic hit your city with a full dose and there was restriction. It's a new problem you didn't anticipate because you never saw it coming in December when you were putting up your plans for the new year. You are expected to go into a new planning process, asking yourself, analyzing the challenge, how am I going to come out of this? What are the likely outcomes? What are the implications of these outcomes? What are the solutions that I can profound that can deliver me from these challenges? This itself is another planning process. So that's why we say planning on its own is a dynamic process. It's an ongoing process. So why, as you also adjust your planning process, it's also expected that you adjust your plans. You adjust the documentation that you have put in place, because the documentation is expected to serve as a guide. It's your compass. It shows you the way to go. It helps you know the point you are going to, because most times the plan is the document you also use for management purpose. It's what you pass down to your subordinate, is what you pass down to your team to help them understand the way to get the operation actualized. Another thing we need to understand is that planning helps us to anticipate problems and changes, and we are able to come up with a recommended solution even before it happens, because you have taken a thorough study. You are taking time to gather the information. It helps you to anticipate problem, because in the course of gathering information, in the course of preparing for a project or a concept, you also have opportunity to interact with others, and you are able to anticipate the challenges they've had. You also have opportunity to interact with people who have been in the business, and they draw your attention to things that ordinarily you may not have given attention to. So, and it helps you to get prepared. So when in times of operation, you are not caught unprepared. At times, some of the challenges you prepare for may never happen, but it's often said it's better prepared than not being prepared at all. The last thing I want us to take note of here is that planning in itself does not guarantee success. So somebody is asking himself, did I just hear well? Yes, I repeat myself. Planning in itself does not guarantee success, because it is an actualization of the plans that can move you towards success, that can move you towards the attainment of your set goal. It is the ability, it is the desire, it is the drive to carry out what you have put out on paper, what you have reasoned out, that will take you to your expected goal. We'll end up by saying, in as much that planning is very vital, it is not a guarantee, but it is absolutely necessary. This is an introduction to all we are going to be talking about. So I look forward to having you stay with us for the next few days, and knowing fully well that this will be of great impact on your business. We want to hear from you. We want to get feedbacks from you on your views concerning those discussions we are having. You can go to our social media handles at OnePlot. You can equally send us an email on justoneplot@gmail.com, and you can also visit our website www.justoneplot.com. We will appreciate and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.